Yeah, this part right here, yeah, lock in down more. It's really cool. We had to one up everybody. Oh, I think so. I mean, we have technology from casinos to oxygenate, so that you know how in casinos they pump oxygen to keep everybody alert and awake. So we brought in all the scientists from there. We brought in their scientists for light. So which light wakes people up at 6 in the morning and da-da-da-da-da. How you effectively use light to maintain energy. All kinds of really cool stuff.
Business/basketball. Nerlens, clearly negotiations didn't go how he wanted this summer. He says he's going to keep it simple, just focus on basketball. Rick says he's probably coming off the bench. How do you feel about the situation with Nerlens now and a potential for a future?
I mean, it's in Nerlens' control, right? I mean, I'm not going to. Rick will make decisions on who plays and all that kind of stuff, but I mean, we want Nerlens to play as hard as he can and impact the games like we know we can, and then we'll take it from there. You know, you guys know for the past 18 years, I don't talk about guys' contracts during the season, and so I'm not going to start now.
When you see all the player movement going on, even as recent as this weekend, what does it say when Dirk is still kind of the fixture?
I mean, Dirk's a beast, right? I mean, he's an anachronism. He's Dirk, and I mean, it's exciting. Maybe this year will be his last season. I tend to think that he wants to be Kobe and be that guy. What up, Sip? So we'll see. He was 82 years old when he started in the league. Now he's only 83, and so I think he'll play this year, and we'll go from there.
He's talked about loyalty you have towards him, and he's brought up the word loyalty a lot. Is he kind of the personification of that now?
Look, I mean, I'd be lying if I said that loyalty is only because he's a good guy. It's because he's an amazing basketball player. And then once you're a Hall of Famer, it gets to the point where, it becomes more about loyalty than anything else. Dirk is Dallas, and Dallas is Dirk. The Mavericks, I mean, they're just so intertwined that he writes his own ticket now, and however you want to define that. But he is this franchise.
When he says that the reason that he's been here for 20 years is because of the relationship with you, how much pride does he take?
It means all those whiskeys and all that sake paid off. All those headaches were worth it.
You feel like you guys really temper expectations on the Dennis Smith front?
Yeah, I always do, right? I never, again, you can get excited and he's incredible talent, but you got to play the games, right? And he's going to go through rookie learning curves. There's going to be some days he looks, like a monster out there, and some days he's going to look like a monster out there, and so we'll just have to let him play the games and learn. I mean, nobody walks in as a Hall of Famer. And a lot of people who are slated to be Hall of Famers leave without being noticed. And so, we've got what we think is a good development program for him. And, Coach has been the CEO and kind of organized it all. And so we're confident that we can play it out the right way. And Dennis, obviously, so far has been mature, right? And he's focused and he's working his ass off. And, he's really demonstrated a good basketball IQ, and those are all positives.
I know that you've been over at another, a conference. Are you planning to address the team today?
I mean, I've talked to a couple different guys, but no plans to address the team at all. I mean, the guys, look, most of our guys have foundations. They're active in the community. They've been here now a couple years other than just a few. And I have a sense for what's important for them. And those who, and others have contacted me to discuss it, and we'll play it by ear. But I mean, I don't expect any real surprises. I kind of know what to expect from my guys, and I think we were supposed to, anyways. I haven't been here to check on it, but I asked our guys, asked Danny to ask everybody the question: what does this country mean to you? Right, and that will give guys a chance, if they want. They don't have to answer. A chance to say what's on their mind, and then we'll make a decision if we want to use it pregame, in-game, TV, whatever. But there's no pressure on us to have to do anything. Basketball is completely different than football. In basketball, most of the players on the team. You know who Seth Curry is. You know who Devin Harris is. You know JJ, etc. And not just the stars. Football, and all those guys, or at least most of those guys, have a social media platform that's fairly big. right? Football players don't have that luxury, right? I wouldn't recognize 48 of the 53 Cowboys players on the active roster, and I'm a Cowboys fan, you know. And I don't think most fans would either. And they don't have as big a social media following. They don't have the platform. And so for an NFL player, the platform is stronger in unity and doing things together, particularly on television when it's the biggest broadcast of any sport. And so I think the approach to sending a message from players is a lot different in the NFL than it is in the NBA. You know, when the president said something, LeBron and Steph Curry both had the platforms to have a response that was just as strong. Which NFL player has that type of platform?
Mark, what needs to happen for you to consider this year a success? Obviously, playoffs, a deep run.
I mean, I'm not going to make predictions. I never do, but I think we just have to be better. I mean, I'd like to see us, you know, make the playoffs, but I'm not going to make any predictions. You know, last year we were probably 23 sprained ankles away from making a run. Hopefully this year we're only 6. You know, and so we'll take it from there.
You talk about the platform. Some NFL guys think that their platform is the national anthem. Do you think that that's valid?
I mean, that's their choice, right? That's the benefit of being an American citizen. You get to make that choice for yourself. I think it's more valid in the NFL than the NBA simply because, like I said earlier, they just don't have the social media platforms. You know, there's more NBA players with enough followers in social media that they make a bigger statement when they say it on social media than they would during the national anthem, where there's, you know, 18,000 people in the building. And, you know, I will say this, you know, everything has its context. If you go to the game tonight, where's it, Phoenix?
Yeah.
Right? If you go to the game tonight, I'd ask you to take a picture of how full the seats are when the national anthem is playing and how full the seats are 5 minutes afterwards. Right? I'd ask you to walk through the concourse and take a video of people while the national anthem is playing. I always make a point to stop and put my hand over my heart and I get run over. Right? You know, I stop and there's people that are just going about their business, getting their food and everything. I mean, those are the American people. That tells you how people perceive this. It's not that people are disrespecting the national anthem. No one's just, you know, no citizen, you know, denies the importance of it to us as a country. But, you know, most Americans don't place the importance on politics that, you know, people in the media, particularly cable news and political junkies. It's no different than sports, right? There's, you know, a small percentage of fans that'll call talk radio or go on Twitter or go on some forum and complain that Coach Carlisle called a timeout with 2 minutes and 40 seconds ago when he should have waited, you know, for 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Those people are just going to always say their piece, right, and have an opinion. And it's the same in politics. In politics, it's a bigger stage, it's more global. And for some of the people voicing their opinion, there's a little bit more at stake than it for others. But I still think, and I firmly believe this, that for some percentage, 95, 98% of the 350 million people in this country, they're a lot more worried about their kids' grades, their job, and everything else in their lives, the health of their family, than they are about what I think, what the president says about sports or what any athlete or owner says. And so while, you know, in our little bubble, it seems to be a big deal, I guarantee you there's a whole lot more people in this country who know who Beyonce is than know the name of the vice president. And so you've really got to put all this in context.
As an NBA owner, though, does it give you a sense of pride to see LeBron speak out the way he did when a lot of signature guys in the NFL don't do the same thing?
No, it's not necessarily pride. I mean, it gives me pride as an American, not as an NBA owner, but as an American citizen, right? When somebody can protest peacefully, right? That's always a positive for this country. You know, there's a whole lot of countries where you get thrown in jail and not get found if you protest at all, you know? And so, no, it's not necessarily pride because they're NBA players, it's pride because we're American citizens. But, you know, it concerns me when somebody, you know, at the top with political power says this is what you must do, this is the way that you must act, and I disagree with that. I just don't think it's the appropriate action of people in power to try to dictate what citizens should do. And in those cases, when we as American citizens stand up and voice our opinion peacefully, that's a beautiful thing. I mean, my dad, my uncle, both were in the military, and I can't tell you, my uncle was a school superintendent in the Washington, D.C. area in the 60s. And my uncle actually, wanted to hear a funny fact, he wrote the first textbook for schools about basically integration. It was called The Negro in America. And it was my uncle, the first textbook written. And in my family, you know, we heard again and again and again, you know, everybody is equal, no one is any different than the other. And in this country, everybody has the same right to stand up and voice their opinion. And, you know, having grown up through the 60s as a young kid, but having heard it afterwards, it was reinforced and reinforced from everybody. What up, Wes?
My guy.
You know, that's why my uncle and my dad were in World War II, were in Korea, etc. And so this has been my thought process my entire life. Hasn't changed.
Trump's name on your dad's
What's that?
side? On your dad's side?
Yeah, Larry Cuban. Yeah, it's a book called The Negro in America. It's actually, yeah, it's fascinating when you read it. It's using the word Negro, obviously, but it was written, I think, in 1964, 65, and literally became the first textbook. You'll be shocked. Like, if you can find a copy on Amazon. If not, I've got a copy somewhere. I'll bring it in. Yeah.
I'm doing something off the beat path about
What up, you dog? All right.
doing something revisiting the Raymond sale a few years ago.
How long ago has that been? 7 years?
7 years. And so Jim Crane, obviously now is about to have a team in the playoffs.
Yeah.
How close did you guys actually come?
We thought we were very close. We thought we had it until Major League Baseball intervened and kind of put the kibosh on us and started playing games in the court. So we thought we were very close. And considering it all happened last minute, it was closer probably than it should have been. But there was no way Major League Baseball was letting me in. I mean, Jerry Reinsdorf told me verbatim I had no chance.
Wow. Had you and Jim worked out who would be, because both of you
I
guys seem
forget.
like league
Yeah, I
golfers.
forget what it was. I don't remember.
Okay.
I really don't. It happened so quickly. It was like boom, boom, boom. And I actually felt bad. I remember telling Tom Hicks I felt bad for him because we kind of messed up his process and some of his deals. But yeah, I don't remember all the details. And now I have no interest in a baseball team at this point.
Why?
Because back then, 7 years ago, my oldest was 7 and my youngest was 2. And it's just a different world. Now my kids are too much fun. And the more time I spend away from them, the worse it is.
Okay. So it worked out for the best for you?
Worked out 100% better. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What else, guys?